Advantages and limitations of remote sensing. Remote sensing has several unique advantages as well as some limitations also. It is essential to understand both the advantages and limitations of remote sensing to use it more efficiently. First, let us try to understand the advantages of remote sensing. The first advantage is remote sensing has synoptic view. Synoptic view of a sensor is the ability to see large areas at the same time. This ability of the sensor can reduce the data acquisition time and thereby the cost. And the sensors dramatically cover a very large geographic area in comparison to the traditional surveying methods. The next advantage is remote sensing satellites. Remote sensing from satellites can be performed repeatedly at a regular interval. This can help in monitoring several Earth surface features continuously. Then passive remote sensing does not disturb the object or area of interest. For example, the active remote sensing where we are using the radar or laser etc., they may harm the human and other living agents, but the passive remote sensing, since it uses the natural source of energy, therefore it does not harm the human being or the other living agents on the earth's surface. The next is remote sensing data collection can remove the sampling bias introduced in some in situ investigations. Remote sensing devices are often programmed to collect the data systematically, and this systematic data collection can remove the sampling biases. The next advantage is remote sensing provide fundamental biophysical data, XY location, elevation or depth, then temperature, then moisture content, etc. So, as you can understand that it can provide some biological data about the Earth's surface, some physical data about the Earth's surface, XY location, latitude, longitude information of the of a location, elevation of a location, elevation or depth, then temperature of a geographic area, moisture content, etc. So, we can get lot of information from the remote sensing images. Then remotely sensed data can create the digital elevation model. Digital elevation models are actually the three-dimensional Earth surface within the computer environment. So, this three-dimensional Earth surface can be generated within the computer environment with the help of remote sensing techniques. Computer processing is possible in many cases because the computer can perform several tasks very fast, and use of computer has revolutionized the concept of image processing. And since we are capturing the data digitally nowadays, therefore the computer processing is possible, and it is a major advantage nowadays when we are capturing the imagery on the digital media. And finally, remote sensing can be conducted politically or physically inaccessible areas. So, this is another major importance or major advantage of remote sensing. Now, the limitations of remote sensing. Remote sensing, the perhaps the greatest limitation is the remote sensing is often oversold. Many of us think that if I get a remote sensing image, perhaps I can do everything, but it is not like that. It is not a panacea. So, it does not provide all the information needed for conducting physical, biological or social science. It simply provides some spatial, spectral and temporal information of value, or some spatial, spectral and temporal information about the Earth's surface. The next limitation is various human interaction in remote sensing process may produce errors. Because remote sensing image processing or remote sensing image analysis is basically a man-machine interactive method. So, since it is a man-machine interactive method, the involvement of human being is essential, and since there is the involvement of human being, there must be some human mistake in the process. Then active remote sensing systems such as lasers, radars can affect the phenomena being investigated, and as you know that lasers, radars, etc. may harm the human being or other living agents on the Earth's surface. Then instruments often become uncalibrated. Uncalibrated means going out of adjustment. For example, immediately after launch of a satellite, the sensor is becoming uncalibrated, and then what happens? The satellite is generally designed for 10 to 12 years lifespan. So during this entire 10 to 12 years lifespan, the sensor will capture the data with some error. So this is another limitation, because we do not have the opportunity to get back the sensor again from the satellite, or we cannot reach at the satellite for the calibration, recalibration of the instruments, etc. And then finally, it is expensive to collect and interpret, and also for the analysis. Then ideal remote sensing system. Having introduced some basic concepts, we now have the necessary understanding of conceptualize an ideal remote sensing system. In doing so, we can then appreciate some of the problems encountered in the design and application of the various real remote sensing systems examined in subsequent discussions. The basic components of an ideal remote sensing system include the following components. First is the uniform energy source. This source will provide energy all over wavelengths at a constant known high level of output, irrespective of time and place. But this does not happen. The next is a non-interactive atmosphere. This will be an atmosphere that will not modify the energy from the source in any manner, whether the energy is on its way or the Earth's surface or coming from it. Again, ideally, this will hold irrespective of wavelength, time, place, and sensing altitude involved. But as you know that while coming the energy from the sun and while exiting from the Earth's surface, in both of the cases the energy interacts with the atmosphere and several modifications of the energy take place. The next is a series of unique energy matter interaction at the Earth's surface. These interactions will generate reflected and or emitted signals that are not only sensitive in respect of wavelengths, but also known, invariant and unique to each and every Earth surface feature type or subtype of interest. For example, two different Earth surface materials A and B will have unique interactions, and they can be identified very easily, but it does not happen always. In many of the instances, multiple Earth surface features in a specific wavelength, for example, interact with the energy in a very similar manner, and it is rather very difficult to distinguish them because their interactions with the energy matter are very similar. Next is a super sensor. This will be a sensor highly sensitive to all wavelengths, yielding spatially detailed data on the absolute brightness or radiance from a scene throughout the spectrum. This super sensor will be simple and reliable, require virtually no power or space, and be accurate and economical to operate. But again, see, a sensor that will not occupy any space or that does not require any power, or that will capture the data in all wavelengths with maximum possible brightness. So, this is basically a concept. The real sensors definitely require the power, it requires the space, it has some weight, etc. It cannot capture the energy in all possible wavelengths with the extreme brightness, etc. That means the sensors also have some limitations. They are not super sensor. The next is a real-time data handling system. In this system, the the radiance versus wavelength response over a terrain element is generated. It will be transmitted to the ground and processed into an interpretable format and recognized as being unique to the particular terrain element from which it comes. In simple words, it will capture the imagery, and immediately after capturing the imagery, it will be sent to the end user with all possible processings. So, this processing will be performed nearly instantaneously, real time, providing timely information. Because of constant nature of the energy matter interactions, there will be no need for reference data in the analytical procedure. The derived data will provide insight into the physical, chemical, biological state of each feature of interest. But this never happen. In most of the instances, it requires some time to deliver the data, because the data, after receiving the data from the satellite or from the aerial platform, it requires some processing, and after the processing, these data are delivered. So, we do not get the data immediately after capture. Next is multiple data users. These people will have comprehensive knowledge of both their respective disciplines and of remote sensing data acquisition and analysis techniques. The same set of data will become various forms of information for different users because of their vast knowledge about the particular Earth's resources being used. But we have to understand that the data are necessary to be analyzed multiple times by multiple users. For example, a forester uses a different technique to analyze the data, and an urban planner analyzes the data from a different point of view. That is why the same data requires to be analyzed 2 times by these 2 different users. So, a single processing cannot serve the purposes of all users. So, as we can understand that unfortunately an ideal remote sensing system, as we have described in this slide, does not exist. However, this understanding can help us to evaluate the real remote sensing systems, their capabilities and their limitations.